voice, you can probably tell I have a bit of a cold, and it's the first cold I've had in a few years. Now, obviously, nobody wants to have some disease or cancer or some major illness, but just getting the flu or even the quote-unquote common cold really sucks, right? And you basically feel like junk, right? You have no energy, things hurt throughout your body, you can't sleep well, you can't really do much of anything. And if you have to work or deal with kids or other major responsibilities, it's so much harder to get through the day, and it slows down the whole healing process. So today I'm going to give you some simple improvement solutions that you can implement right now to help boost your immune system, to help you avoid getting sick or ill. Because the bottom line is that almost any illness or sickness is a weakened immune system, or one that isn't functioning properly. And I'm not going to get into all the hardcore stuff such as injectable or IV vitamins and blood cleansing or stem cells and other things that most of us can't do or don't want to do. All right, so let's get started. Now, the very first thing to improving your health and the immune system is we first need to reduce and stop any leaks you have in your life. Just like growing a business, we have to periodically audit the business and see what leaks there are, unnecessary expenses, and so forth. And this has to be done before you add anything to your life, all right? So the first thing you want to do is reduce stress. All right. Now, stress just drains your immune system more than anything. It kills your nervous system. It kills your good hormones. It also increases the negative stress hormones. And if work sucks, or if you have money problems, if your significant other is a pain in the butt, if your kids are a handful and so forth, some of that can't be changed, at least not right away. However, you can get rid of your quote-unquote loser friends that drain you. You can stop consuming negative information, whether it's TV, the internet, news, and so forth, which creates negative feelings and thoughts and thus bad hormones. Instead, consume information that's happy, that's funny, that makes you laugh, and you walk away feeling good, having good feelings. Trust me, whatever is happening in some other country is not going to make any difference in your life right now. You certainly wouldn't want your kids to consume negative information, so why do you? Besides, most of it is misinformation anyway. At least reduce all that stuff. The other thing is you need to replenish your system by sleeping better, or maybe more. Maybe just take a 15-minute break during the day and close your eyes, or meditate, or just take a power nap. You'll feel better and you'll be a lot more productive. Now, number 2, you want to eat natural foods, all right? Vitamin or shot is going to boost your immune system in a box and are man-made, and eat more natural foods. This also means liquids, all right? Stop with the junk, the caffeine, the energy drinks, the soda and all that, and drink a lot more purified water to help detox your system. You know the basics, all right? So just do it. Number 3 is exercise. I think exercise is so important because it gets stress out of your system. It helps optimize so many positive youthful hormones. And you know what? When you look good, you feel good, and you do good. And I know that's not proper English and should be well, but you get the point. Now, most of us either don't exercise enough or at all, which is a big problem. Exercise too much, and that stresses their body even more. My suggestion, honestly, is very simple. 3 times a week, lift weights. No more than 45 minutes to a max 60 minutes. On the other days, right, 3 times a week, go for a fast walk outside in the sunshine. The sun is beautiful for you, for your immune system, and do so for about 20 to 40 minutes, like a brisk walk. On one day of the week, all right, take it off and go get a massage. This is my general guideline. If you follow it, I promise you will look and feel better. Now, number 4 is you want to take supplements. Now, I know the minute I tell someone to take supplements, some people just freak out. They think maybe I have a hidden agenda or I'm trying to make some money off of them. Or they think that they can't get everything they need from a healthy diet. They think that's all they need, a good diet. Listen, you can't. You never will. The foods, the soil, and everything else related is just depleted of so many nutrients. And unless you're going to be eating at least 5,000 or more calories from really healthy foods, you will need to take supplements. So please just stop arguing this point with me. So my favorite immune boosting supplements, and in no particular order, is first of all vitamin D3. All right, many important factors. That's why I tell people to get in the sun. Take 2 to 5,000 units daily. We have vitamin C. I take a lot, 3 to 10,000 milligrams daily. IV is even better if you can do it. Vitamin K, which means vitamin K and MK7, 2,000 micrograms and 100 micrograms. Also, you want to take magnesium, such an important mineral. Take 500 to at least 1,500 milligrams daily. Take most of it at night and some of it during the day. Fish oil, all right, very important. You also want to take probiotics and prebiotics. Now, probiotics are acidophilus, and then prebiotics, as most people don't take, something like inulin is very important. Then you want to take NAC, N-acetylcysteine, or you can take glutathione pills. I prefer NAC. It's cheaper, suggests 600 to 1,200 milligrams daily. You also want to take a zinc. Now, people don't realize zinc you need to take with copper, so they're balanced. 15 to 30 milligrams daily of zinc, plus 2 milligrams daily with the copper. Also, selenium. Most people are deficient in this. 200 to 400 micrograms daily. And finally, CoQ10. I know most people don't put this in there, but improving your mitochondria is what CoQ10 does. And mitochondria really controls so many aspects of your body, your health, your mind, and every cell in your body. So take at least 100 to 200 milligrams daily. Also, bonus. I take glutamine powder. Now, if you exercise, I suggest you take glutamine powder. It's the most abundant amino acid in the muscle and also gets depleted when you're overly stressed. And it's also good for your gut, all right? This made a huge difference for me. I used to get sick a lot when I exercised.
Hi, we all study languages at the University of Birmingham, and we'd really like to tell you why it's such a great choice.
Studies have shown that learning languages is good for you, and it's a great skill to have. It activates those grey cells and broadens the mind, because it helps you to understand that people from different cultures think differently, making you more open-minded and accepting of others. It's also good for the brain, because it improves general intelligence and makes you better at remembering and noticing things. Apparently it makes you better at making decisions, and it's even been shown to help people avoid dementia.
Languages is a really flexible subject. There are lots of different ways you can study it. I study German and Italian, but you can also study just one language on its own. You can even study 3 languages, like my
Could your life forever be changed in an instant through the impact of one sentence? By just one idea? Isn't that why you're here? To have your mind blown by at least one word? Paid to extract people's secrets while they sleep. Cobb is offered a chance to regain the life he once lived as payment for a task considered to be impossible. Inception. Implanting an idea in someone's mind. Cobb says, "What is the most resilient parasite on Earth? bacteria, a virus, an intestinal worm, an idea. Resilient, highly contagious. Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate. An idea that is fully formed, fully understood, that sticks right in there somewhere. A single idea from the human mind can build cities, transform the world, and rewrite all the rules. Professionally speaking, as a hypnotist, I am intimately familiar with the skill, the science, the art on the inception of ideas. I use the power of words as suggestions to help your mind adopt an idea or a belief. What you picture or imagine as I speak and how you react to the words I use can give you the transformations you're wanting. Personally speaking, as somebody who's been a subject, I'm intimately familiar with the desperate search for a transformation. I'd like to tell you about a sentence that changed my life. 2 sentences, actually. The first sentence changed my life for the worse. In fact, the impact of just those 4 words haunted me so severely. Their effects caused me to become a college dropout, attempt suicide, and use a wheelchair to get around because I became an invalid. The second sentence changed my life for the better. The second sentence is why I'm able to stand here speaking in front of you today as a happy, healthy, professional, sane person. As you listen to my story, what I mean, and believe me when I say that your life can be radically changed in an instant through the power of words. When I was 18, a freshman in college, visiting home one weekend, my dad woke me up from my sleep to give me the news. That dreadful, life-changing sentence. My older sister Bethany, by just 15 months, had been in a car accident. The driver had been drinking. The next 4 words my dad spoke to me slammed into my awareness with such sudden shock. I became shattered in the wake of ensuing devastation. Bethany didn't make it. The impact of that crash and those words on my life, on my psyche, it wasn't just immediate, it was ongoing. I didn't consciously realize it then, but the idea that began to overtake my mind upon hearing of my sister's death was this. What happened to my sister was not okay. Nothing could ever make it okay. I could never be okay with it. I could never be okay. You may be able to imagine or relate in some way to how I felt. Fast forward, it's a few years. Newlywed. I'm folding laundry when all of a sudden, everything was blurry. I start having double vision. I hear ringing in my ears. My tongue feels swollen and numb. Fog comes over me. I pass out. Later that night, I find myself in an emergency room. Doctors give me a series of tests, but the results are normal. What I experienced isn't normal, so how do you explain what just happened to me? Well, ma'am, could be due to stress, like a panic attack. I take that to mean they have no freaking clue what just happened to me. So I go home that night and on to school the next day, hoping it had all been just a bad dream. But the same thing happens again the next day, and then 2 more times that week. After 2 weeks, my ability to concentrate and remember rapidly declines as more mental fogs with slurred speech and fainting spells become a daily occurrence. A vertigo, panic, and involuntary movement, mostly to my left side, occur without warning. The movement ranges from slight periodic twitching, like somebody with Tourette syndrome, to hard jerking. It looks as if I'm being yanked by an invisible leash around the neck. A complete loss of muscle tone, tingling, and numbness invades my limbs so strongly, I experience sudden fall downs that leave me in a heap on the floor. Repeated trips to different doctors, emergency rooms, neurologists yield I'm referred to the Mayo Clinic and wait for my case to be considered. My husband and I have no clue what to do in the meantime. I'm getting kind of tired of banging my head while trying to peacefully go about my day. So we go to a Walgreens and buy a Stever helmet and a 4-prong cane. The next day, getting ready for my classes, I carefully choose a stylish outfit to hopefully distract from my new helmet and cane. I quickly realized there's no way that I nor anybody else could pull off this look, especially when my husband adds the final touch. An envelope safely pinned to my chest with my emergency contact information and what to do, instructions if someone finds me. I take one look at the mirror and I'm reminded of my first day of kindergarten when my dad safety pinned a note on my shirt to give to my teacher. I burst out crying. I tell my husband that I'm dropping out. I can't do this anymore. Unfortunately, the more time I spend trying to take it easy and follow doctor's advice, the worse my symptoms become. Seizures begin striking at any moment. Not just any kind of seizures, but violent fits I can experience while I'm wide awake or fast asleep. The seizures are resistant to medication or become stronger when any is given to me. I find my spells occurring whenever I back up, view images of anything zooming in or out, or from a first-person perspective, and every time I enter an area with any kind of fluorescent lighting. Imagine how you would feel. Losing control over your body, your life, any sense of freedom, and having to use a wheelchair to get around for my own safety. So, if people aren't ignoring me, they bend down, talk louder, and real slow. Do you need any help, young lady? I got the door, thanks. No going to stores, too many lights. No reading or studying, memory concentration too poor. No watching TV or movies, too much motion. No driving or riding around in cars. By summer of 2008, I'm finally taken on as a patient of the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. Tedious diagnostic testing goes on month after month, with no answers, nor successful treatment. I am in need of constant care. My husband and I can't afford to pay bills, so we move in with his parents. My appointments become more specialized, the time between them growing further apart. And my spirit fades, my symptoms escalate. By May of 2009, the Mayo Clinic officially diagnoses me with post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, and conversion disorder. The primary symptom being pseudo-seizures. My doctors believe me to be suffering from traumatic grief, that my body has been converting stress into psychosomatic symptoms. They recommend adding different drugs to my series of medications and that I enter into intensive psychiatric care. Due to the frequency, length, and severity of my symptoms, and the fact that I've seen 6 different mental health professionals over the course of my illness, but no improvement, I'm given a 20% chance of being able to ever recover. Fortunately, there is one alternative option left to consider. The Mayo Clinic recommends I give hypnotherapy a try. They say that hypnosis with a qualified professional can help with this kind of thing. So my dad gives Dr. John Connolly, founder of Rapid Trauma Resolution Therapy, advanced clinical call. As they try to coordinate a date for me to see him amongst his busy scheduling mental health professionals across the country, I hear my dad tell Dr. Connolly that he will carry me to him on his back if he needs to. 2 months later, on June 20th of 2009, I have one session with this white-haired wizard that lasts about 2 hours, and it's the most life-changing conversation I've ever had. Kristen, he says, there isn't anything wrong with you. Your brain is very complex. Something so complex is prone to occasional errors. There's basically been reaction and timing issues from one part of your brain to another, and we as humans develop beliefs sometimes that don't work very well for us, and we can change all these things. Your mind has been reacting to things you've been remembering or imagining, like somebody jumping at the scary part of a movie, except most of the time, this movie has been out of your awareness. We're going to do a simple exercise to help your body remain calm and stay present, and then we'll try on a different way of looking at what's happened to your sister and see how you feel afterwards. This is called the Stop Putting On Your Pants exercise. Do you remember where you put your pants on this morning, Chris? Yeah? Well, now tell me this. Where is you putting on your pants this morning? Where's that? I think in my bedroom, in my head, in my memory, in the past, I don't know. He says, if any one of those answers has come up, you're here right now, this morning is over, and your butt's too big to be putting on your pants inside your skull. You putting on your pants in some twilight zone called the past. The past is just a term for things no longer happening and don't exist. Your mind has been confusing the data with reality. But the event is not like the record of the actor's filming. The best answer to where is you putting on your pants this morning right now is it doesn't exist, I think. He says, every time you thought it happened to your body has been reacting, sending stress signals, trying to get something to happen. This traumatic grief has been your mind's way of trying to process what happened, and it hasn't been okay with it. That's what grief is. Our reaction to a change we don't like. I bet there's a sense of loss around your sister's death. Well, Kristen, I'd like you to try on the thought. We can't lose the future, and none of us are guaranteed or entitled to it. I'd like to invite you to trade in those feelings of loss around your sister with a peace about her transformation that we call death, and continue to sense the love you both have for each other. That's a way of looking at yourself and your sister that may be of help, he offered me. Who are defined by your body? I know you have a foot, but that you're not a foot. If anything ever happened to your foot the next time I saw you, I would say, hey Kristen, I'm glad most of you could make it here today. Our bodies, our beliefs, our behaviors, our relationships to others all change. It doesn't make sense to define ourselves as these things. I bet if you really think about it, you know what it's like when you're seeing something beautiful, or you're with a loved one, or doing something you love, and you say, oh, I feel like our own way of being, the essence of who we are. Kristen, I don't know all the answers about what happened. I know that science says we're all made of energy, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed. I know that our five senses fool us sometimes, and we have to take things on faith, like a child asking his parents, "Where did the sun go on a cloudy and a rainy day?" And here
What's up, everybody? BC here again. Quick shout out to BTMP Studios for the wonderful camera HD and the quality that you're seeing right here. Today's particular video was going to be on something that I've really begun to grasp lately, and I'm applying it to every area of my life, is language, or basically words. Language. You interact with people and you communicate with language. You're talking to people every day. And whether you realize it or not, the words that you use create a certain effect on the person that you're talking to. So for me, I'm in real estate. When I do have content to trigger certain things in their mind, and if you use bland language or words that provoke a negative emotion, you don't want that. You want to analyze what you're saying and say, okay, I'm trying to create, do these words either help me get there or take me away from there? So you have to really look into that and be absolutely sure that you're using that type of words. You could probably be just running off an automatic program and not even realize that you're using words that create resistance with people. That's one of the great things I like about my coach, Kevin Ward, and the scripts that we use is, for example, when we're talking to prospective client, their needs, if we could help you, if you could blank, if you could get there, or if you, that's the word. We don't use I or talk about ourselves. It's not a selfish approach. It's all about them. Service. So whether you're talking to a family member, a friend, or a client, you want to be able to know what it is about today. It's cool to use slang and be, I guess, ghetto, you can say. I think it should be the opposite. You should strive to have an elite vocabulary and use words that are sophisticated. You're gaining knowledge and evolving as an individual. And I think that's something that is taken away from society today, and it's actually made for fitting in and being, I guess you could say, not sophisticated, when in fact, when you look back, that's their era, and that's what you want to strive for. So, and when you start, this is a great example, when you start using these words, sophisticated, elegant, fantastic, those trigger certain emotions in your mind, and they make you think, and they spark your imagination, and that's what you want to go for, whether you're talking to another man, a woman, a prospective client, your family member. You want to cater your words to that person as well as use the right words, and that's going to take time. It's something that I've been working on a lot, and I noticed the effect that it creates on my clients or anybody I'm speaking to is really strong. So again, guys, that'll wrap it up for this video.
Deadly pandemic and what you can do to prepare for it. Let's get to it. The Global Preparedness Monitoring Board is an independent body assembled by the World Health Organization. They indicate that there is a growing risk of a worldwide pandemic that will kill tens of millions of people. This type of pandemic could occur naturally, or it could be a bioweapon that was deliberately created. It could even be accidentally released from a research facility. Managing a disaster of this nature is not as simple as managing a benign threat like a hurricane, a cyber attack, or a direct attack on critical infrastructure. The effects of pandemic are far-reaching and prolonged. The gradual collapse of social systems could last months, even years. For this reason, preparing for the next great global pandemic involves serious planning and a long-term commitment that goes well beyond the 72-hour emergency kit. Factors that make a pandemic of this magnitude more likely are the following: crowded living conditions in urban areas, the increased amount of research on pathogens, and thus the increased potential for a mistake to be made in one of these laboratories, the growing risk of bioweapons, millions of people around the world at faster speeds every year. While there are these increased, there are also some protective factors in the modern age. We now have better detection systems, And we also have prophylactics and better treatment methods, and we can also develop vaccines faster. What kind of features would a super virus like this have? Well, for starters, it would be airborne. That means it can spread through microscopic droplets in the air from person to person. It would be highly contagious during the incubation period. That is, the period in which people are not symptomatic, or when they just have mild symptoms. This allows it to spread under the radar. It would also be a microbe that most people are not immune to, so there would be a large population of susceptible human hosts. It would have an existing treatment or prevention method, and it would have a very low but significant fatality rate. Now that last one might sound surprising, but consider that the Spanish flu only had a kill rate of 2.5%. This is important from the virus perspective because it allows it to spread longer before killing the host. Nearly 50 million people perished as a result of the Spanish flu, so a virus needed to be very lethal to be disrupted. So when you hear talk of viruses with high lethality rates, this actually may be inhibiting the spread of that particular virus. There is something called the host density threshold theorem, and this is that if a virus kills too many people, it will run out of susceptible hosts and it will quickly be extinguished. How do we assess the threat level of a pandemic? It's important to keep in mind that on average in the United States, the flu kills 30,000 people every year. So while we're seeing these coronaviruses and respiratory illnesses, which indeed are novel and unpredictable, it's just important to keep the numbers in mind before we jump the gun and batten down the hatches and everybody calls in sick for work. For instance, as bad as SARS was, it infected 10,000 people and killed 800 people. As tragic as it was, it didn't entail the end of the world as we know it, and was far from being an existential threat to humankind. Now, the media tends to do one of two things. News agencies tend to overestimate the threat in order to attract eyeballs. Government agencies, on the other hand, are tasked with maintaining social order, and they want to minimize panic, and thus they may actually downplay the threat, especially the credible ones. If the government knows that the crap is going to hit the fan, the last thing they want everybody to do is start losing it and panicking, because that makes it much harder for them to maintain the social order. And this makes perfect sense because a burden and people not partaking in society actually have profoundly negative effects, not only on the economy, but it may actually make the spread of the virus even worse. This is why the recent coronavirus in China has prompted the lockdown of several major cities in that country. Quarantine, which is essentially a form of martial law. All transport systems have been temporarily suspended, and people are being prohibited from leaving these cities. Cordoning off large areas and quarantining whole cities will be something that's implemented worldwide should a virus get out of control. These drastic measures speak to the potential severity of this current outbreak. While something like this might be easily executed in China, many democratic countries around the world will be far more resistant to the idea of quarantining whole cities. The threat of being contained against your will in an area that's ridden with illness isn't going to go over well in a lot of places. Many people would try to get out of Dodge. Furthermore, the logistics of pulling something like this off would require immense government resources that mostly during these crises when they have public workers going, they're simply not going to have the manpower. The Chinese city of Wuhan, where the outbreak was first discovered, is also home to a research laboratory which studies these types of lethal pathogens. If something has escaped this laboratory, and the Chinese government has compromised the economy to the extent that it has by shutting down these major urban centers, they must understand the true gravity of the situation. Is this a serious threat, or is it being overhyped in the media? Only time will tell. Regardless, we are long overdue for a pandemic. The thing to ask yourself is, if a lethal pathogen for which there was no cure was detected and spreading within your city, would you go to work? How many people who work in occupations for which the general public relies would not go into work? This, of course, would be a threat to the stability of our critical infrastructure. Would the government step in then and mandate people to go back to work? Would civil unrest then ensue? Now, there have been some plans by certain governments to provide essential government workers with prophylactics or give them priority treatments about getting sick. While the government might view this as a utilitarian, the general public may not, and they may in fact protest this. Once again, this could lead to civil unrest. Of the disruption of critical services, This could lead to food shortages, power outages, and increased crime, all of which may inhibit the spread of this pathogen. How would we prepare for a pandemic of this magnitude? Generally speaking, all of the strategies that we discuss on this channel would apply. Having the appropriate provisions to ride out a 6-month to 1 year lockdown caused by a pandemic will greatly reduce the amount of situations you have to put yourself in to surround yourself with compromise. Crowded grocery store, or standing in a lineup to receive government rations. In addition to this, you'd also obviously want to avoid socially congested areas in times of heightened pandemic risk. Airborne droplets from contagious people can travel several feet, so the last place you want to be is utilizing public transportation. Avoiding touching things while you're in public spaces, and depending on the severity of how widespread it is, you may want to use proactive or reactive methods to avoid contracting the illness. A proactive method would be using a N95 mask or an antiviral mask. Most people, unless we're at DEFCON 1, aren't going to be comfortable wearing a half-face respirator or a gas mask around town. A reactive approach would be aggressive and frequent hand washing or carrying around a bottle of hand sanitizer. If a major outbreak does occur, chances are it's going to spread via the major cities of the world first, ones that have international airports. From there, it will diffuse related communities, may altogether avoid coming into contact with these types of pathogens, simply by virtue of the lack of their transient populations. One protective factor of the modern world is that a lot of things nowadays are hands-free. Whether it's just having to tap your debit card, doors that you don't have to open, or paper towel dispensers you can wave your hand in front of. This type of technology doesn't get enough props for limiting the spread of pathogens, but it's certainly not enough to stop a major pandemic from spreading. Now, fomite is defined as objects or materials which are likely to carry infections, such as clothes, utensils, and furniture. Fomites act to transport pathogens from one person to the next. Touchless technology has significantly reduced the amount of fomites, not nearly enough to eliminate the virulent spread of a dangerous disease. In terms of preparedness gear, N95 or N99 masks, which block out 95 to 99% particulates, can be useful and have been shown to significantly reduce the risk of contracting an illness. Perhaps more importantly, if you are infected, it will minimize the risk of spreading the disease to others. However, the effectiveness of this low-level protective equipment requires a tight seal, something that's impossible with these types of masks. And these masks should be immediately disposed of once you're done using them, because the virus can attach to the exterior of the mask, and then when you take the mask off, you are at risk of coming into contact with the pathogen. Antiviral face masks, on the other hand, do actually neutralize the viruses that come into contact with them. But once again, these do not form a
To our surprise, something as complex as a planet is made from nothing more in all of time, on all the planets of all the galaxies in space, what civilizations have risen, looked into the light, seen what we see,
is impossible. Living organisms are created by chemistry. We are huge packages of chemicals. Now, what are the ideal conditions for chemistry? Well, first, you need energy. But not too much. What you want is just the right amount, and planets, it turns out, are just right because they're close to stars, but not too close. You also need a great diversity of chemical elements. And you need liquids such as water. Why? Well, in gases, atoms move past each other so fast that they can't hitch up. In solids, atoms stuck together. They can't move. In liquids, they can cruise and cuddle and link up to form molecules.
Liquid water is just so good for getting evolution going. Molecules can dissolve in the water to form more complex chains.
And where do you find such Goldilocks conditions? Well, planets are great. And our early Earth was almost perfect. It was just the right distance from its stars to contain huge oceans of liquid water. And deep beneath those oceans are cracks in the Earth's crust. Fantastic chemistry began to happen. Atoms combine in all sorts of exotic combinations.
Microbes have adapted to survive the most hostile conditions. Arid deserts, the frozen Himalayas, in trenches under thousands of tons of pressure in the ocean deeps. In the vacuum of a space simulator, life forms have been flourishing for years without oxygen.
Very quickly, as soon as the Earth cooled off after its formation, we know that life began here. Because it happened quickly here on Earth, we think it's going to happen quickly on other planets as well. We know that the galaxy is awash in water. It's awash in organic molecules and complex chemistry. All of the things that we know are necessary for life to begin on this planet exist in abundance throughout the galaxy. Did something similar to what happened on our own planet happen on those other planets?
habitable Earth-mass planets in the observable volume of the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth.
everywhere. In that case, the creation of life anywhere in the universe would be more the rule than the exception.
Within all of our lifetime, we're going to understand that there is life on other bodies in the solar system. We're going to understand the implications of that for evolution of life here on Earth. We're going to find planets around other stars that we can say we see potential signs of habit in their atmospheres. That's all going to happen in the next 10 to 20 years. How exciting is that? We're on the verge of things that people have wondered about for millennia. Are we alone? And here we are on the verge of finding that out.
The universe is nearly 14 billion years old, and our galaxy is something like 12 billion years old. So there could be life out there that could be dramatically more advanced than the life that we have here on this planet. The elements that were created in the Big Bang were hydrogen, helium, all the stuff that makes your life livable. Those elements weren't created in the Big Bang. The only place they were created is in the fiery core of the star. And the only way they could get into your body is slow.
After a major disaster, whether natural or man-made, taking care of yourself is important. If you were to wake up in the morning and the electricity wasn't on and no water was running out of faucets, would you know what to do? This video is supported by Energy. Energy produces the Kodiak solar generator, which I've reviewed on this channel before. It's a lightweight device that packs a large punch that critical devices like refrigerator, phones, and other important electrical devices if the grid goes down. Critical devices like refrigerator, phones, and other important electrical devices if the grid goes down. Check out the link in the description section if you're serious about prepping or just emergency preparedness in general. It can be a bit overwhelming not knowing where to start. The goal of this video is a starting point you can build on. I won't overwhelm you with the advanced elements and goals most people that call themselves preppers achieve over years of prepping, but rather in this video, I'll lay down the immediate short-term goals for those just starting out. If during the video you have any feedback or questions, please post those in the comment section below, as I always learn a lot from the community and I always love to provide feedback and support for those with questions. Let me start off by saying that FEMA recommends a 3-day supply of emergency items at a minimum. I'd recommend a 2-week minimum supply as the first milestone. I recently spoke to people in Florida that were impacted by Hurricane Michael, and 2 weeks worth of supplies was the bare minimum some recommended. The items I lay out in this video won't break the bank, and will put you ahead of probably 95% of people around you. So let's run through the top 10 items you'll need to put you in a good position should there be an emergency. I'll put these items in order of priority. If any time you want to pick up any of these items I discussed in the video, I'll put links in the description section below where you can purchase these items if you'd like to support the channel. I'll also provide links to each of these points for more in-depth videos covering each of these 10 points. So let's jump in. Number 1 is water storage. The general rule of thumb is 1 gallon of water per person per day. If you're just starting out, you can pick up the 1 gallon water containers at the store and store these in your pantry or closets. You might want to consider moving up to a portable 5 gallon water storage container, which can be stored and rotated in your home. Again, the goal is 1 gallon per person per day. So for a family of 4, you would want to have 4 times 14 or 56 gallons of water, which is going to cover you for 2 weeks. If space permits, you definitely want to add a lot more for other things you'll need, like washing your hands or for cooking. But this number should serve as a bare minimum starting point. The ability to purify water is just as critical. Having the ability to boil your water, purify, and filter it is critical to being compromised. Dysentery, cholera, and other human infectious diseases are rampant after purify your water to destroy harmful pathogens that could lead to illness or death. Number 2 is food. Without going into a deep discussion about nutrition, we want to make sure that we have a solid balance of the 3 primary macros: carbs, fats, and proteins. So with the goal of building up a 2-week food supply, here's an easy list to start with. And by the way, I borrowed these from another YouTuber, the Dynamic Prepper, and I think it's a solid list to start with. Of course, you can change these items to food you would normally eat, but it's a good list nonetheless. 20 pounds of rice, 20 pounds of beans, 20 cans of fruit, 20 cans of vegetables, 20 cans of meat, 2 containers of peanut butter, 2 large containers of tang, 2 bags of flour, 1 bag of sugar, 1 bag of salt, 1 pound of oats, and 1 gallon of olive oil. Of course, the question will come up, how will we cook all of this food? We'll discuss this a little more in point number 5. By the way, if you prefer not to have items that require a lot of cooking, there are some quick and easy options such as canned food, dehydrated food, freeze-dried food, and MREs. Point number 3 is first aid. We're so used to being able to pick up the phone and call 911 when there's a medical emergency. But now you have to think about what you would do if emergency services were not available. Emergency services. After taking a CERT training course through my local fire department, after a major disaster, the public services like fire, police, and medical services will be primarily focused on areas where the most will be impacted, and they will not have the ability to come to your home to address your particular problems. As such, it will be critical you have your own medical gear on hand. And I'm not just talking about Band-Aids, but rather more advanced gear that can help treat trauma, like a tourniquet, to help stabilize you until you can find professional help. When I started out in getting my medical kits together, I started with the medical kits you can buy online. Since then, I've added more advanced medical kits like the ones carried by first responders. While it does represent a considerable amount of money that you would need to spend, it will be money well spent if you have to use it to keep you and your family. In addition to the kits, you should also consider getting material that can help educate and provide basic first aid information. Hand sanitizer, toilet, and a makeshift toilet. I bring up the toilet because the sewage system, especially in point number 2, I mentioned we discussed how to cook the items you have stored. Having a means to cook if the power or gas lines go down will be critical. The first thing you'll need is a stove. There are a variety of stoves on the market, and while I won't go into each type in great detail, these are great to have on hand. A Coleman grill, rocket stove. These are super efficient and can burn a variety of biomass, which are often plentiful after a disaster. Solo stove. Again, these are a very efficient type of stove that can burn small debris. Propane barbecue grill. Most people have these in their backyard, but this would be the last on my list due to the issue of OPSEC, which I'll discuss in a moment. Regarding fuel, I keep 2 primary types of fuel on hand. Propane. You can store this for long periods of time in propane tanks without it going bad. And the second I keep is wood. I keep a small wood right behind my house I add to whenever I'm clearing out wood around my house. Both are important to have on hand for standby should they be needed. And last is utensils. Having a combination of basic cooking utensils, pots, pans, and other items. Cast iron is great should you need to cook over a fire. Number 6 is power source and light. The first item is flashlights. Have a LED flashlight for each family member. Batteries. I try to keep a fresh box of AA and AAA batteries around our house at all times. My plan is to start investing in rechargeable batteries so I have a way of continuing to power my devices if the grid doesn't come back for an extended period of time. Will I charge those batteries, you might ask? That leads us to the next point. Generator. The 2 primary options on the market are gas and solar generators. Both have their pros and cons, and if you have a tight budget, there are entry-level options on the market for both. Personally, power is one of those things I'll definitely want and need to power my cell phone or run a refrigerator. Number 7, having cash on hand. When power goes down, the banks and ATMs will go down as well. As we move toward a cashless society, people tend to no longer carry cash. In these moments, cash will be key. Having cash in a safe place in your home will enable you to buy the things you need at the store if paying with plastic is not an option. Depending on your budget, try to work up to about $1,000 in cash if you can keep it in a secure location. Number 8 is communications. First item you should pick up is a radio. When starting out, you can get a simple radio like the one sold on Amazon by the Red Cross. These are very simple radios that have a hand crank that will allow you to stay informed with what's going on around you. A ham radio. Another affordable option is an entry-level ham radio that will allow two-way communication. During an emergency, you are legally allowed to broadcast on these devices without a license. Corded phone. Many of us have moved away from corded phones and simply rely upon our mobile phones. But a dedicated phone line in your house generally will work when the power goes down. Point number 9 is mobility. Most of the items mentioned above will be useful if you are able to stay in your home. But what would you do if you were forced out of your home due to something that was beyond your control, like a hurricane, earthquake, or fire? In these situations, you'll need to be able to grab your stuff and go. Having a bag with necessary items, aka bug-out bag, will provide you with the essentials to survive out of your home. This bag should provide you with the following: shelter, water, food, and security. While covering the details of what should be included in this bag is a bit beyond the time that I haven't covered in this video, I'll provide a link in the description section below that documents this in greater detail. The last point, number 10, is self-defense and OPSEC. Depending on the severity of the event, you may be left to defend yourself and your family if things collapse to a point where people get desperate. Remember earlier I mentioned that by having a 2-week supply on hand will put you ahead of the majority of people. That's because most people do not have beyond a few days worth of supplies, and when people get desperate, they may act out of desperation, which leads me to the second part of this point, OPSEC. OPSEC is short for Operational Security. Without going into great detail about this point, the takeaway is to simply not allow others to know what you have. Now, by saying this, it may upset people, as some may question as to why you would not want to help others. I'll let you decide on how you want to handle this issue. By no means am I advocating that you should not help your neighbors in a time of need, but I would say that you should keep in mind the consequences of what may happen when you do. The moment others find out you have supplies, you may have a line outside your door, which opens up a whole new series of problems, and how you handle this is really going to be up to you. So hopefully this video will help those starting out to lay a foundation that they can build on. Again, this is a starting point that I believe, with With a little budgeting and patience, you can achieve. I posted links in the description section below to each of the items that we discussed, and I also provided links to more in-depth videos on each of the subject matters that we covered, should you want to study more. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, share on social media, or subscribe. Also, please post any feedback in the comment section below. As always, be safe out there.
I was contacted by the men in black yesterday, the divers, and they told
So now they created child services that's going mad, insane, and stupid. They'll take your child over nothing. These people need a lesson, and I don't know how to give. God's going to have to give them a big lesson.
Boost your immune system. If you're looking for ways to keep winter colds and the flu away, your answer may be as clever.
I always get really excited when I get to share nutrition tips with you guys, and I think you're especially going to love these ones. Improve your meal and snack choices and just boost healthy eating and nutrition all around. Now, some of these tips you might have heard of before. Some of them, though, are going to be completely new. At least I hope so. So let's dive in.
I want you to think about how much money has gone through your hands. How much? What I mean by this. Maybe you made $73,000 last year, you're 28 years old. And the first time you got a check was 14 years old, it was $100. Add that whole thing up. You'll come out with a number, $493,000, or $1.9 million, or $6.3 million in this video. The question is this: how much is left in your wallet? Truly. What's in your wallet with capital choice? I'm talking like really. What's in your wallet? What do you have left? How much savings do you have left? And if you're not too happy with this question, it's very simple. The reason why you don't have a lot of money left is because you don't know how to play the money game. Simple as that. So today in this video, I'm going to cover with you the money that I followed, and it's obviously from a lot of mistakes I made. There was a point in my life where I made money, there was nothing left in my pocket. So I'm telling you from the experiences. But rule number one is the most important one. And it's the one you have to buy into immediately. It's very simple. You can find and say whatever you want to do to it. It's a rule. And the rule is, it's a game. Money is a game. And the great thing about any game is the following thing. No matter what game you play, the most, eventually get good at it. If I've been chess, you're probably going to beat me. If I have played Monopoly 1,000 times and you play 3 times, I'm probably going to beat you because it's a game. So the great thing about the money game is it can be learned. So many times people fight it and they have problems with it, and they say, well, you know, that person became rich because they're smart, this person did this. No. They learn the game, and you can also take the time to get money. If you hate money, you'll never get money because money doesn't like haters. So if you're a hater and you constantly say things like, well, money doesn't grow on trees, and money is this, and money is that, and rich people are this, you're right. Money says, you're right. I'm not turned on by you. It's almost as if going on a date with an attractive girl and telling the girl that you don't like attractive girls who don't know a lot about philosophy and all they care about is their looks and doing makeup and doing this and working out and going to the gym. And this girl's like, dude, I put makeup on, I work out every day to stay in shape, but I also like other things in my life. But you know what? You're right. You're not attracted to me. I don't like you. She goes and finds another guy that says, I like a girl that takes care of her body. I like a girl that takes care of her skin. I like a girl that does makeup. I like a girl that works out 5 days a week. She's attracted to that guy. Keep that part of money. Don't be a hater with money. Number 3, it's a devil's game. Listen, this should you can stop watching the entire video. You got the main things out of the way. It's a double game. And by the way, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a free PDF. It's a double game. What is doubling your money? So what do you mean doubling your money? Let me explain it to you this way. If you right now have $1,000 in your bank account, if you're watching this, you have $1,000 cash, you are 10 doubles away from $1 million. That's it. You're 5 doubles away from having $32,000. You're 13 doubles away from having $8.192 million. You're 14 doubles away from $16 million. It's a doubles game. So how soon can you double your money? That's truly the game. Can you take that $1,000 and double it to $2,000 in the next year? So then that next thing is, now it's $2,000 you have in the account. Now you are $1,000. You're going to say, Pat, I already have $100,000 in my account. Well, guess what? You're 4 doubles, 3 doubles away from $1 million. All you got is a doubles game. This is a piece of cake when you learn it's a doubles game. So the question then becomes what? How soon, this is the real game of doubles. It becomes 2 different things. Risk tolerance, because you got to know yourself when it comes to money. Your risk tolerance, depending on the age you're at, if you're 65, your risk tolerance is going to be lower than you be 22 years old, right? So you have your risk tolerance, you need to know you, then what is horizon? So time horizon could be, I want to have $1 million by 10 years from now. Great. If it's 10 years, what do you have right now? Then you have to play your doubles game. How many doubles do I have with the $17,000 to get to $1 million? It's a simple game that you can learn what to do. As long as you know your risk tolerance, you know your time horizon, what it is and what the amount is, then you play the doubles game. Number 4, seduction. Let me explain to you about seduction, okay? Listen, I use the analogy with ladies because it's just how it is, okay? He likes to be seduced. Attracted to seducers. Just like a woman doesn't like a desperate man, money doesn't like desperate people. Money's not attracted to desperate people who want it so bad because money's seduced. You need to seduce money. seduce money, and all of a sudden money says, ooh, I like this guy. I like this girl. Oh my gosh, I'm turned on to you. Don't let money seduce you. You seduce money. It's a seduction game. So whoever learns the seduction game with money, all of a sudden money starts coming from all over the place to you because money is turned on by people that know exactly what they're doing. Money likes investors who know what they're doing. Okay, a girl goes on a date with a guy that knows what he's doing, she's most likely to come back, and then there's experience. So learn how to seduce money. Timing, timing when it comes down to money. Let me explain about timing. I'm not talking timing like this is the best time to invest into Snapchat or this is the best time to buy the IPO of Facebook and etc. I'm not talking that timing. Although that's a whole different conversation with timing. Timing I'm talking about running a business. I'll give you an idea. There was a time where logically I have to cut down. But I knew what I was getting ready to do, and I had access to all the information. I decided to double down, and that helped expand the business to new areas, new territories. So, and then the other part is cutting down expenses, is you knowing no one else knows about the information. You need to cut down because you have access to all the information. So there's got to be a part where you need to know, and this is a thing that we can't teach you. This is not something I can teach you about. But this is going to be a part of it that you're going to learn from experience with timing. Timing with when you buy. Timing on when you stay liquid. Timing on the decisions you'll make. Number 6, boredom. Let me explain what boredom means. Money needs to be moved. Okay? If a girl is bored with you, she leaves you because you're too boring. Same with men. If a man is bored with a girl, they're going to leave because it's boring. Money doesn't like to be bored. What do I mean? If money stays in a check, if money is just staying somewhere and it's not working, it's too boring, it goes to somebody else that knows what to do with money. So you got to make sure money's always moving. Money's always moving for you, always moving for you, always moving for you, always working for you, always have to do something to create more money for you. Next, secret account. You always got to have a secret account. Let me tell you what a secret account is. It's an account. Mom, dad, brother, sister, no one knows about this account. What is this account? It's a crisis account. A crisis account could be somewhere sitting down that no one knows, but I know you just talk about boredom, you talk about this. 2 complete different stories. You got to have a crisis account that's not your emergency fund. I'm not talking emergency fund that this is the right thing to do. I'm talking a crisis account. What's in our company's checking account went to $13,000, have payroll, commissions, everything. $13,000. We're about to shut down the company. This quote. We're about to shut down the company. What saved us was the crisis account that I had. No one knew about. That money showed up, put it back into the business, saved us, we lasted, we made it through the tough times, and now we're here where we are today. But it's because I had a secret crisis account no one else knew about. You always have a secret crisis account. Number 8, don't drive first class until you have $10 million in a bank account. I see so many people spending $2,000 on a flight where they can spend $400. Listen, I'm 6'4", 6'5", 240, and you know how many times people say I pay first class? 0. I don't pay first class. Other people pay for my first class, but I don't pay first class. I've been paid first class. I've flown first class many, many times because I have the miles or people pay for my flight. I don't pay first class. And why is that? Here's how I did the math. Now, obviously, I can afford to do it, no problem. But here's how I did the math. You're trying to tell me $2,000 for a first class flight, and I can get $500 for the same flight. That's $1,500 times 9 flights in a month. That's 9,000. That's 9 times what? $1,500 is $13,500. Some number like that. You know what I can do with that number? That's 4 employees. That's marketing. That's expansion. There's over a year. That's $200,000, $180,000. Why am I going to waste that money? That's an executive I can bring in. That's 2 incredible employees I can bring in. I don't pay first class. Other people pay first class. Once you get $10 million and you want to do this, great. At that point, you may want to get yourself a private jet, but don't fly first class. Next, comp plan. Let me explain what I mean by comp plan. So, no matter what country you live in, 100 plus countries around the world, and some of you guys in the system, how you're upset, and you ask me what to do, and I tell you, if it's not going to change, you have to leave. You have to leave the communistic regime you're a part of. Some of you are in socialistic places, France, taxes, Spain. You're upset with the taxes being at where it's at, and I tell you, if you don't see the horizon changing, you need to adjust. But regardless of where you're at, rule number 1 about your comp plan. Your comp plan in whatever country you live in is your taxes. Study how you get taxed because that's your comp plan. And let me explain to you why the comp plan in America does so well. A lot of people say things like this. They'll say, you know what? I can't believe the tax structure in America benefits business owners. And you know, why is it that if you create a job, we'll give you a tax benefit? If there wasn't a tax benefit and incentive for business owners, then who's going to create jobs for all these millions of people that need jobs? So you may say, well, Pat, if the incentives for business owners should not be a business owner, yes. Every single episode is about you becoming an entrepreneur. Yes, you ought to be a business owner. You ought to be an entrepreneur because it benefits you in your comp plan. It benefits you in your comp plan. And position yourself properly by knowing what your comp plan is. Rule number 10, end of the world mentality. Listen, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, whatever these names you want to go through, all of these things, put them all together. You know what they get paid to do? They get paid to sell crisis. Because if it happens, you got to be ready for it. Okay? And so what happens a lot of times is people get afraid. And they think it's the end of the world. And like that 2008, when the market crisis took place, the market went all the way down to 6,000 some, Dow Jones did, everybody started pulling their money out. It's at $21,000 today, 21,000 points today. Imagine if you left the money in. How much compounded money was lost? Simply because you thought it was the end of the world. Simply because you thought there was a nuclear war that was going to happen all over the world. By the way, let me explain to you. If truly a nuclear war is going to happen, do you really think your money matters? Come on. We're not going to exist. So you got to act as if there's no nuclear war that's going to take place and panic so much when everybody tells you everything. And you got to learn how to manage those times when 90% of the world thinks it's the end of the world. You got to be ready. So how do you do that? Let me explain. I was part of the community that is always the end of the world until I realized how you become wealthy is during this time. During this time when it's the end of the world, you know when? Those who have cash. This is why it's important to have cash set aside. And I'm not talking border money. I'm talking cash set aside when it's the end of the world for you to buy stuff. Every time crisis takes place, a lot of people become wealthy. A lot of people become wealthy because everything's on sale. Everything's on sale when there's crisis. People sell their artwork for 1/5 of a price. Homes sell for 1/2 of a price. Investments, all these things are for sale during the time when there's the end of the world type of mentality. So you got to have a strategy for this time. Some say market's about to tank again in the next 2-3 years. I don't know if it is going to tank in the next 2-3 years. Here's what I have to be ready for it because there's going to be opportunities. You also got to be ready for it. Number 11, study your politicians, especially your president. Let me explain to you why. You got to know what your politician and your local community is going to do and what their philosophies are. Here's why you need to know their philosophies. If their philosophy is to do heavy-duty taxing on you, you need to adjust accordingly. If their philosophy is to cut down taxes, you need to adjust accordingly. People ask me, what am I going to do with Trump? Start a business. Taxes are being cut. Go make millions of dollars in the next 4 years. And if it's 8 years, go make the money. And adjust. Everything's about adjusting. But you can't not know what their philosophies are. You need to know the philosophies of the politicians in your community. Number 12, study smart investors, but don't be too religious about it. Like, for instance, you ought to read everything Warren Buffett's got. Read every single thing Warren Buffett's got. Every single thing. Read any of the books that he's got, go read them. Because what he's going to teach you is his way of thinking, his mindset. He's going to teach you the way to think.